Zwaan, Coach. Another year. What is it? Your 21st year at Westchester?
Lost count.
Kind of talk about the expectations you have every year coming in, and kind of like goals you set, and maybe when you set them, you try to set them right at the beginning, or do you wait and see what this team's got?
Well, I think every year our goal is to be playing for our conference championship, PSAC East first, then the PSAC itself, and of course trying to get to the playoffs. We know there's some years that we've got a better chance of that happening, and other years where we're really building and hoping for a break here or there. But I feel like with this team we've got enough kids coming back from last year, and in particular some key positions like the quarterback position and the offensive line, that gives you a little bit more hope to get to where we think we can get to. So our goals are definitely to try to win the East and see if we can get to win the PSAC at that point, and then get to the playoffs. We haven't done that in a couple of years, and it's time for us to get back there.
Kind of talk about the quarterback position. Obviously, the spotlight's always on that. You got two guys coming back who you probably didn't expect to see the field last year, but they got a lot of experience. That's got to help with your depth, but also help in your jumping off point from an opening of camp.
Yeah, when you really look at it, going back a few years, we had a couple of older guys in who took that role over for a couple of years. We won the championship the one year, we went to the playoffs the next year. And then that following year, we actually played a redshirt freshman in Shane Dooley. Through most of the year, he did a pretty good job, but we didn't get to where we wanted to get to. And then Shane got hurt last year, and all of a sudden we're playing two true freshmen last year. So we really have been, over the last couple of years, playing very young quarterbacks. And you take the lumps that you get from that. Now, both of these guys are back, Cooper Jordan and Ethan Kohler. They're both really good football players and really good quarterbacks. They're different, but they kind of complement each other a little bit. They're really, they work together really well. They're both going to play, and they both played last year for us and showed a lot of cool and calm composure for freshmen. So we're really looking for them to kind of take that next step. And so it's been a while since we've kind of had a guy who can take that next step. So now I really am interested to see how they progress. I think because of that, it gives us the idea that we could have a pretty good football team.
The first couple practices I was at, it seemed like Ethan was connecting pretty good on the deep balls and working really well with the wide receivers. And Cooper's came back with a strong day that second day. What do you see in them early on in camp?
Well, the first thing that sticks out is they know the offense now. I mean, they were learning it as the season progressed last year. So now you say something, they know who to look for and where. So that's why you're seeing guys kind of complete deep passes, because number one, they know which one of the receivers can get open deep. And then number two, they know when they're going to get open depending on the look. So they're looking for them in certain situations. So all of that is maturity, understanding the offense, understanding the defense, so that you can see it already in the first couple practices that they've already taken that step forward. They both have really talented arms, so they can throw the ball to the level we need them to. And we've got some really good receivers that they're getting the ball to right now. So a mixture of everything, but it starts with them, and they are just confident, and they're out there making plays that they feel like they can make throughout the season, and that kind of brings everybody else along.
Kind of talk about two things. One, do you think the game is kind of slowing down for them?
Yeah, definitely.
And then two, talk about their relationship and how they're using the competition to motivate each of them.
Yeah, they become good friends, and they live together, and they kind of push each other, and they talk about the game all the time, and they're watching film together and critiquing each other as far as what they should be looking for and what happened here. And when they come off to the sidelines, they talk about things. So it's kind of interesting dynamic between the two of them. You don't usually have that. You usually have one guy who's the guy, and the other guy is kind of his, waiting for him to get hurt. But here's two guys who really like each other, are, pushing each other, are helping each other out. And I think that really helps us as a football team. And all of our offensive kids see that. So they know there's not that, jealousy or battle feud between them. It's really them guys helping each other out.
And kind of talk about the third quarterback, TJ Pergine, who you brought in, transfer from Temple. A senior guy, fifth-year guy. He's got to have the knowledge that you're looking for as a good, third quarterback to help.
And that's really what we were looking for in TJ. We have a young freshman, and we had a couple opportunities to take other freshmen, but we knew we had two guys who were going to be sophomores coming back, so we didn't really need to have young quarterbacks. We felt like we needed an older guy who could help them a little bit. And if something were to happen, somebody who we felt like could step in. And TJ played at Millersville, actually started for Millersville as a freshman, then it ends up transferring to Temple. He plays for Temple, doesn't really play much, but at least he's practicing with them and learning those kind of things. And you can see he's got a feel for the game. And that's what we were hoping for. We wanted a guy who could understand his role, be ready when we need him to be ready, and help those younger guys get through some tough spots.
And I'll talk a little bit about the offensive line. Like you said, everyone's coming back. That's got to be a good thought, knowing that you got a lot of experience up there. But everybody knows your offensive line is going to determine how your offense moves the ball.
I think if you ask any football coach in the country, hey, would you like to have your entire offensive line come back and the first backup, so all six guys, actually every single player came back because we didn't graduate a single person. So I think every coach in the country would say, yeah, that's a good place to start. And we added a transfer in Cam McQueen, who can be guard, backup center, backup guard. So we really feel like we've got 7 quality guys. We'll figure out an 8th and a 9th and a 10th at some point in time, but they're young guys who redshirted last year and they're going to get their opportunity. But we got probably 7 or 8 quality guys that can play for us right now. And when you have those 2 young quarterbacks, it's nice to know they're going to be protected. And where we really saw that was last spring. So last season we played 2 redshirt freshmen, 2 redshirt sophomores, and a junior. The redshirt freshmen got their butts kicked a few times in there, and the redshirt sophomores were still kind of learning themselves. But this spring, you saw it. They came together as a group. They took that next step that we were hoping they would take, and they really handled the spring extremely well. So now you feel like, okay, we got these 2 valuable quarterbacks who are going to be keys to us winning, and we got a good group that's protecting them and going to give them the opportunity to do some good things. So, that combination, and we've got the wide receivers, we've got tight ends, we've got the people to throw to. So it's exciting to think about where we could go.
And now probably the most glaring shoes to fill or hole to fill on offense is in the backfield at running back, with Jaden McKenzie moving on to Rhode Island, and then Phil Polkway graduating. Kind of talk about some of the runners back there that will be able to carry the running game.
Yeah, so they're two tough guys to replace for sure. But the one thing is, in our program and our level, we're usually going to be able to have pretty decent running backs in the program. So as those 2 guys leave, Jaden Williams will take over and be the number 1 guy going into camp here. Daquan Robinson is really a special player, can be a really special player. So we're kind of interested to see how he does, because he can run routes and catch the ball out of the backfield and make guys miss. He's something, I think he could be special. And then we took transfer of Temple Trey Blair, who was the Delaware County Player of the Year a couple years ago at Howard High School. He's a pretty good nice get as we build our depth, because you're saying, well, geez, how are we going to replace them? And now all of a sudden I feel like we got 3 kids who are going to replace those 2 guys. And Deshaun Jacobs, who's great high school player at Ruston, who's going to be in there too, in the mix too. So I feel like we're going to be fine at running back. Yeah, the big thing for us is going to try to figure that playing time out. I think that's going to, how it is. Everybody wants to play, and so you got to kind of make sure everybody's not happy, but that everybody's on the same page.
Talk a little bit about some of the people you brought in at wide receiver. I mean, we all know Deshaun Seals is coming back, but I think you're going to have some new names out there in the receiving game. Is there a slot guy like Eddie Elliott or LeRon Lee way back when used to fill? Yeah,
so I think Julian Jordan is a transfer kid who could be that type of guy. He's actually got a big body like LeRon had back then, with the speed of Eddie. So it's not exactly like Eddie. It's more like LeRon, but I think probably a little faster than what LeRon did when he was here. So, yeah, I think he'll get his opportunity in there at the slot position. We brought in a couple really good kids last year that we redshirted, Robbie Longo and Zach Gillen, who are going to get playing time. Really good speed, both of them. Catch the football, really, you can count on. Very reliable kids and smart. They know the offense, they know the plays. We brought John Haynes in the spring as a transfer, who's going to get a lot of playing time for us, and he's got a big body on him too. Now, he's not quite as fast as some of those other guys, but he's a nice target for our guys. And because he was here in the spring, the quarterbacks got used to him, so they like him a lot. And then, to be honest, in the first couple of days, we've got a couple of young freshman receivers who have stuck out, And you say, whoa, that was a nice play. Hey, that was pretty good. And you start thinking about, because we have the rule now where we can play them 3 games, we may look at a couple of those young guys, and that's kind of the kids we're thinking about. Maybe DB, wide receiver, things that are kind of easy to go out there and just play with talent and not so much worry about scheme, that maybe we could play a couple of those guys early.
And now, how important, what you did touch on this, but how important is it when they can get that spring in them, kind of like John Haynes did, transferring in? That's got to be great for the coaching staff.
Yeah, and actually that's what everybody hopes, is that if you're going to take a transfer kid, you get them in the spring, because you can learn the offense. So the kids who transfer in the fall, they're taking camp to learn the offense. So we're probably a little careful about how much we're going to throw at them right now. So we just want them to learn a portion of the offense by the first game so we can use them. But if they're here in the spring, they can pretty much get that jump on learning the offense. And we can learn what they can do and what they're good at. And then, like I said, the quarterbacks playing with John in the spring, that kind of gave them some confidence into what they think he can do for them. So that, all that kind of meshes in there. So you'd much rather have them in the spring, but it's good to have them. So we'll take them.
And I guess I don't want to forget the tight end, especially because Thatcher Miller was such a breakout player last year. You got to be excited about what he can do in his career.
Yeah, so when you're really thinking about it, he played as a redshirt freshman and had a really nice year, really came on by the end of the year, had a really good spring. So now you're looking at, similar to the quarterbacks, a guy who's got a year under his belt, just steps right in, understands the offense, knows how to run the routes, understands the blocking schemes now. So he's going to jump in and take that next step. Mason Griffiths, who does our H-back stuff and has done it for a couple years, he's the senior captain, so he's taking over that leadership role on offense. And then Mike Darcy will become our blocking tight end, and Mike's pretty good blocker. You guys got to keep him healthy. He's had some health issues, but if we can keep him healthy, that's a group of 3 right there that are going to. It just gives us another option, which is nice to have.
The question all coaches hate: you were picked 3rd. Do you use that as motivation, or do you think the kids use it just on their own? or do you pretty much ignore that?
Oh, I'll make sure they know it. So people don't really think much of us right now, so that's fine. We'll see how that goes.
And now, Coach, the special teams, Sean Henry coming back, very accurate. I think he was 100% beyond 40 yards. I think he was 3 for 3.
Great leg, good under pressure. We put him in pressure a lot during practice. He handles it really well. Sophomore last year, he's got 2 more great years ahead of him. I'm really looking forward to what he brings to the table. He might have to punt also, which he did at the end of the season last year for us. He'll handle that. I'd like him not to have to do that. We'll see how that kind of shakes out. But the other piece we have is all our snappers are back. We actually added a snapper. So, you know, you don't think about it until you don't have one. And then you think about it a lot. But we've got 3. So that's pretty good. And our return game, you know, between Deshaun Seals and Daquan Robinson and Trey Blair who's transferring in, and a couple other guys that we've got a lot of guys who can return, both kickoffs and punts. So the kickoff kind of has dwindled somewhat, but punts for sure. And those guys can at least catch the ball. They're going to give us good field position. So the whole special teams piece I feel pretty good about.
And talk about the coverage, the kick coverage.
Yeah.
Punt coverage, which you guys have struggled
with. Well, let's start with the punt blocking scheme, which we're changing a little bit, and you know that hurt us obviously during the season last year. 2 games, it cost us 2 games. We got better at it the season wore on. We've got to, we just can't let that happen this year. And, you know, I feel like we have the depth now at the key positions, linebacker and DB, who are your kick coverage guys, you know. So you got to make sure that depth, so guys who are not necessarily starting for you, but they're kids that are good players, have got to be on those special teams. I think we can maybe lacked a little bit of that depth over the last couple of years, and we were playing guys that weren't quite ready for those positions. I feel like we're going to be much better at that.